Today we are going to talk about information security and threats. It will have a series of lectures, at least three lectures will be talking on the information security. But before we proceed, let's have a quick look on what we have discussed so far. We have been talking about different categories of networks, and we defined that network can be categorized on PAN, LAN, MAN and WAN. Primarily networks are categorized into two, that is LAN and WAN. LAN stands for local area network, whereas WAN stands for wide area networks. LANs are private networks and not subject to any kind of tariffs and other regulatory controls. MAN falls between the LAN and the WAN in terms of geographical coverage. Internet and satellite networks are example of wide area network, which covers very large area networks, unlike local area networks. Networks are not designed in isolations. What we have discussed earlier, that when you design a computer today, it is having a network card. Earlier computer was designed in isolations. It was a standalone machine. So anything you wanted to do with another machine, you have to copy from this machine to another machine through particular kind of storage devices, floppy. But so network today, similarly networks are not designed in isolation. It means that your network, local area network in the organizations are not confined to this small area. They are connected with another kind of network systems. They are connected among themselves. When two networks are connected, they become an internet or internet. This is one definition of internet. What is internet? That it connects many networks. Internet is made of many LANs joined by connecting devices. Connecting devices could be a router, for example. What type of primitive operations and services to be provided by the lower layer to upper layer are defined by the interface. You know that the network design is very complex architecture. Network is a very complex architecture, and design comprises lots of activity. It is a complex activity, which network architecture comprises in terms of layers and protocols. This is the basic trend or basic guidelines or basic rules we follow when we have to design a complex software, database management system, or let's take example of operating system, or take example of any other kinds of applications, software which is used in larger organizations. They comprises of number of modules. But in terms of network architecture, we are talking about in terms of set of layers and protocols. So when you pursue a network course, higher layer network course, then you will know about various kind of protocols existing in different kinds of layers. What is a protocol? Protocol define a set of rules and conventions required for communication. Protocol is basically used for communications between two devices, and for that you require or need to define set of guidelines for communications. Reference models are conceptual framework. You recall that we have talked about two kinds of reference model. One was the OSI and second was the TCP/IP model. And most of the textbook today are designed around TCP/IP model because they are more practical models. Whereas OSI model remains a conceptual model, and it gives you ideas, more complete idea about how the networks are designed. So what is a reference model? Reference models are conceptual framework to define number of layers, its functionalities, protocols, primitive operations and services. So we define number of layers. If you recall OSI model, we have defined 7 layers protocols. So, and each layer we have defined the functionality. For example, what is physical layer doing, what is applications layer doing, what is the network layer doing, what is the presentations layer doing. A user like us who is doing email activity or downloading something, they are basically using the applications layer of network. Overall objective of any kinds of reference model, whether it be a OSI model or a TCP/IP model, is to facilitate communications over a networks. Now, so this is what we have discussed so far. And in series of total 9 lectures, we define what is a data communication, what is a network, and various kind of issues related to data communications and network. Now we are moving to new kinds of domain, and we have named them as a information security. So we will define what is the information, what is the security, for example. Lots of new interesting topics will be coming and new kinds of buzzword will be appearing now. In today's network society, online activities are becoming more popular day by day. You start your day with surfing browser or downloading something, reading a newspaper. Everything has become an online activities now. The need for providing a secure network environment is the top priority of every organizations. That is, earlier when the system was a standalone basis, that was not the need. But today, most of your network is connected with another kind of network. Your activity is connected with another organization. So the need of any organization is to provide a secure networks environment, so that whatever activity you do, whatever online activity you do, it should be secure. Weakness, if you don't do, there will be lots of problem, and this is what we have highlighted now. Weakness in such a system may lead to all kinds of attacks, threats, and loss of essential informations. Information security deals with how we can secure your personal and confidential information from the rest of the world. Information is very data is raw data. From raw data we create informations, and these informations are very precious component of any organizations. Information could be different thing. Later on we'll define what exactly we mean by information. So the broadly what we are going to discuss is we'll define the term information security and its needs, like new terms will coming related to information security, that is the integrity, availability, and confidentiality. Differentiate between different kinds of attacks which we always notice now in the network environment, and then we have to define various kinds of safety measures for information security against different kinds of attacks. Also, we will propose some guidelines for secure information security systems. Now, we'll discuss about the factors which are responsible for introducing a threat to any organizations, and the defensive mechanism which can be adopted by the organizations against them. Now, let's come to some definitions now. Information security refers to the design and implementation of processes and methodology to protect confidential and sensitive information or data from unauthorized access, use, misuse, disclosure, destructions, or modifications or disruption. This kind of abuses or this kind of activity always you will see when you participate in online activity. So this is what information security means. It basically defines the procedures and processes how to protect your systems. Information may be digital or may be non-digital. All kinds of we are talking about. Not necessarily that we are talking about digital information security. Organizations must be something, some data might be physically available, not they don't want to put it on the net, but that also has to be protected. Information could be anything like business plan, investment, personal informations stored on computers and mobiles. In any university, information could be students related informations, students grades for example, students performance for example, students performance in particular subject for example, or student performance in particular state for example, or like, so any one can think of. Information is the most essential assets of any organizations. Therefore, its protection is must. This has become issue today that the data of a country should reside into a country itself. Whenever you do any online transaction, lot of data you generate, lots of information related to you is created, and the service provider wants to keep these information for some other purpose. Now we'll define 4 important objectives of information security. First, safeguard the organization's ability to function. Organization should work smoothly, function of the organization should move smoothly. enables the safe operation of applications running on organization's IT system. On IT system, there are many different kinds of software running. Application software is one kind of software running. What is application software? Is basically might be the billing system, for example, or financial system, for example. Take example of university system. We have students attendance system, students grade system. So many kinds of applications are running. But besides application, there are another kind of software which is called system software, which controls the operation of the system or computer, for example. Take example of operating system, for example, database management system, or take example of compiler, or take example of network systems. So they all belong to system software. They also should be protected. Protect the data and information of the organizations collects and uses. We take example of university. They collect lots of informations about the data. Every year for example, in our university, 3 to 4 lakhs students take admission. So we collect data about these students now. How many students from particular region have taken admissions, or their performance, we collect the data. So we collect sitting with lots huge data. So is the case with any commercial organization or e-commerce system. So when you do in e-transactions, then again lots of data is created. What is your interest and something like this. So based on your activity, on the online activity, the e-commerce sites creates lots of data about the individuals. Safeguard the technology, the organization use of the technology. Use of technology is also important to safety of this one. The terms information security and computer security frequently are being used interchangeably. It always happens when you read a literature, you will find sometimes information security, sometimes computer security. Both fields are related to each other but have the common goals of protecting the information. So whether you talk about computer security or information security, objective is same, that protect the informations and data of the organizations. But there are some differences. Although overlapping is there, but there are some differences between the two. The basic difference is information security and computer security are methodology used for providing solutions and areas of concentration. Same, we are trying to just elaborate on what we discussed in the previous slide. There is no clear consensus and level of overlapping between the following terms and then interchangeably. So again, in previous slide we talked about 2, but another 2 also have been added in terms of overlapping: information security, computer security, cyber security, and IT security. So they all are somehow related with this. Information security is securing information and does not necessarily have to involve technology. This is one major distinction between information security or IT security and computer security. IT security is technology specific. So when we talk of IT security, we means particular technology. Measures, and what is computer security? Measures and controls that ensure confidentiality, integrity, availability of information system assets, including hardware, software, firmware, information being processed, stored and communicated. This is a standard definition about the computer security. But just to start with, you have to understand, one is the technologically making a system technologically secure or applying technology to make system secure, or one is simply define the procedures, guidelines. That is what information security is all about. These 3 terms are important, and we will now focus on these 3 terms. What these 3 terms are there? Information security is mainly concerned with 3 aspects of data, regardless of the form they take data: confidentiality, integrity, and availability of data or information. We now define these terms. Let me have a different meaning with respect to data, information, and system. They also address different areas of information security. Integrity means those systems which always provide the correct information about the system. So what I am talking about, although they are overlapping, but they also address different areas of information security concern. We will define about integrity in much details now. Integrity in information security refers to data integrity. It should maintain the accuracy and completeness and consistency of data over its entire life cycle. That is something we have to always remember. So it must have integrity, data integrity. This means that data cannot be modified without any authorizations. Information security means if we don't follow any such guidelines to maintain data integrity, then definitely untrusted data will lack integrity. Stored data must remain unchanged within an information system, as well as during data transfer from one system to another system. So we are sending data from one machine to another machine. This is always happening in the network system. But so the person who is not authorized, they cannot change the data. Professional hackers can cause damage of valuable data of an organization by infiltrating the system with malware, including Trojan horses, which overtake computer system, as well as worms and viruses. Worms and viruses will define it a little bit later on, but these, if they are existing in your system, they can damage your software. An employee may create intentionally false data. Sometimes in the organization there are employees which create intentionally false data entry which can damage data. So one has to be careful, not with this malicious software, but also with people who create false data in the system, and the output will be the data will lose integrity. The term will be used quite often, which is related to information security, is called malware. Malware is a short term of malicious software which is designed to infiltrate and damage the system without users' permissions. System could be hardware, it could be a software, but we primarily meaning here software. The term malware generally refers to different types of threats your computer safety, such as virus, worms, and so on. So they all are basically, once they are existing in the system, they are creating threats to your software. What it says, the worms are computer program. They are software, computer program that does not allow system to work normally, which results in non-availability of valuable informations and data to the legitimate user. If they are existing in the system, it might happen that data, you will not able to access your data, although you are authentic user. Upon executions, viruses take controls of a machine. So they are attached with some software, or let's say with email, for example. So they take off a moment you open your attachment, they take control of your machine and starts spreading and changing information. May remain dormant for some time, not active, but they are in the system. So depend upon what type of virus. Measure to be taken in case of data damage. You must have some file permissions. Who is authorized to use the files. The versioning control is also required to prevent the erroneous changes or accidental deletion by authorized users. Some data might include checksum for verification of integrity. Checksum is a mechanism used to verify, to check whether data you have sent has got error or not during the transmission's error. If there is transmission, some bits will change. So checksum is some extra bit attached with your packets, attached with your data, which will verify that whether the data has been corrupted or changed or modified during the transmissions or not. You have to create a backup, or redundancy must be available to restore the affected data. So basically, to have an integrity of your data, there must be there must be file permission, number one. Version control of the software must be there, and the data must have some checksum, and also some backup or redundancy must be created in the data in case something falls, something gets corrupted. Original software must be there somewhere. The another aspects of the data integrity is the availability. So availability is one of the three basic on information security. We talked about integrity, now we are talking about availability. Availability is one of the three basic function of the information security. Availability means information is accessible to authorized user. Data is there, if you are not able to access them, it means data is not available to you. It basically ensures that your system and data are accessible to authorized users whenever it is required. When system is regularly not function, frequently non-functional, information availability is affected. In addition, when data is not secure, information security is affected. So data availability must be there to the authentic user. Some system needs to remain available, not all at all times. There are certain kinds of system they must be available in critical kinds of applications. Preventing service depression in such a case will be a problem. Ensuring availability of a system also involves preventing denial of service attacks. We later on define what is denial of service. For example, such as flood of incoming message to the target system, essentially forcing it to shut down. Sometimes you get more and more mails than system can handle, and it will damage the system and will not be able to access the data. Availability is the best ensured by rigorously maintaining all hardware, maintaining a correctly functioning operating system. It also important to keep current with all necessary system upgrades, and at the same time you must have bandwidth and redundancy must be available now. Fast and adaptive disaster recovery system also must be built into the system. Safeguard against data losses and interruptions in connection must include unpredictable events such as natural disasters. So must have the also disaster recovery related measures must be taken. Ability is often most important attribute in service oriented business that depends on information. For example, online schedules data must be available, or online inventory system. For example, online scheduling matlab basically airlines or railway reservations, the data must be available, otherwise booking will not take place. Availability has three main components: reliability, accessibility and timeliness. Reliability is the probability of the system performing its task adequately for the period of time intended under the operating system and the operating conditions encountered. Accessibility is the degree to which a system is usable by as many people as possible without modification. Suppose that it is allowed for the 100 people to work, and system is not allowing them. It means there is a problem of accessibility. Timeliness again, it refers to responsiveness, how fast system is able to respond to the systems. This is called the timeliness. It measures the time between data is expected and the moment when it is readily available to the use. So this is what, so you make a request and how long it is taking to get your response, that is basically measures timeliness. And confidentiality refer to protecting information from being accessed by unauthorized users. Confidentiality has to do with privacy of information, including authorizations to view, share and use it. Information with high confidentiality concerns is considered secret and must be kept confidential to prevent identity theft. So some are very high confidential data, some are low confidential data, and accordingly systems measures should be taken. Examples of data with high confidentiality include social security number. Everybody in most of the country they have a social security number, or let's say for example we have a Aadhaar card number. These numbers should be very highly confidential. And there are various measures are taken to maintain this one. Guidelines for confidentiality. How we will maintain information has to be encrypted. The term is called encryption. It's a process that makes data unreadable to anyone except those who have the appropriate passwords or key. So there are different measures we have taken. One is the encryptions. Second is we create a list who is authorized, who is not authorized, and also physically secure devices include control access of all kinds. Now, guidelines we have listed. You have computer management is a broad topic that includes, so we have several protected, you have to protect devices, that is very important. Enable firewalls, that also has to be done. Routinely patch software also you have to done. You include all the antivirus software in the system. So this is, let me conclude now. 4 important objectives of information security we have listed. Safeguard this organization's ability to function, enable the safe operation of applications running on this one, protects the data information the organizations collects and uses, safeguard the technology the organizations uses. Information security, that was the basic terms we have defined. Security is securing information and does not necessarily have to involve technology. So we have differentiated that there is IT security and there is information security. IT security basically a technology specific, where the information security is simply guidelines kind of things, whereas computer security measures and controls that ensure confidentiality, integrity, availability of information system assets including hardware, software, firmware, and informations being processed, stored and communicated and so on. So this is what measure. Now further I just want to conclude that here we have just given you clear cut definition, means what is integrity, what is availability, and what is confidentiality, and what measures should be taken to have integrity of data, confidentiality of data, and availability of data. Thank you.